Hello, welcome to the Princeton Cloud Solution Architects meetup. This is the March 2018 meetup, and today's topic is about serverless with focus on Lambda and cloud native. So, before we go into details, some background. So we created this website, Princeton Cloud Solutions, and this is serverless. This is our first example that we'll be doing. And we will be covering 6 examples. So 3 will be front end and 3 will be back end. So this is totally serverless. So what I will be doing is I will be explaining what you see, and then I'll also be explaining the technology behind it. So this is the picture of our first
Handouts.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So this is the picture of our first meetup. That was in November 2017. It was the same room. And this is me, Zahir. So this was our first meetup. So if I have, yeah. So what I'll do is, I'll explain you, these are very simple examples, but some of the examples get complicated. So I will start with simple, but then it does get complicated. So, but we will build it. So what we're going to do is, we're going to explain what AWS services we are using, and what roles those services are playing. We'll also be explaining the Lambda functions we are using. There are 2 programming languages being used. One is Python and other is the JavaScript. So we will show you that also and show the difference between Python and JavaScript as well. So this is the simplest example. So let me explain the technology behind it. So, and then I'll actually show you the code also. But let me just go through the examples and then I'll come to the code as well. So the first is, this is the domain name that I registered, Princeton Cloud Solution. So DNS in Amazon is called Route 53. It's a DNS. And this picture is being served from S3. So if you look at this diagram, so I'm going to relate the technology that are being used and how they are being used. So the first, what you see is when you put that URL in, it goes to DNS in Route 53. Then it goes to S3. Now, S3 is an amazing service of Amazon. It has 11 nines of durability. So it's a very, very durable data store. In fact, it's so durable that it's replicated across their availability zones. That in case of an availability zone failure, your service will continue to function. In case of 2 availability zone failure, your application will still continue to function. So, and it's very reasonably priced, and every page that you put on it is actually a web server. So you don't need Apache anymore. If you go, so we are talking about serverless. So you use S3, and S3 gives you durability and as well as scalability, because web servers, once you start getting hits, you could have lots of hits. So S3 will scale automatically. But along with that, I will show you another thing, which is the cloud front. So let me just show you that. So what you can do is you can just replicate your website on CloudFront. So AWS Edge locations. So I was looking at it. They've got more than 100 edge locations. So your applications get replicated all over like the world, and you don't have to pay anything. the pay is as you go. So this is a different model, and this applies to both front end and back end. Like previously, only big organization had the resources to be able to support. Now you can build, like I can build an application, you can build an application, and you can deploy it on CloudFront, and anywhere in the world, it is accessible. So this is just a static web page, okay? But then there is a button here. Now, let me click this button. So you see, I click the button. This response is not static. It is coming from Lambda. And so Lambda is the compute. So in the traditional world, we had the like EC2 servers. Even EC2, which is considered a new thing, is still kind of traditional technology, because EC2 basically makes your server virtual. But the technology that we are talking today are what we call cloud native. So they've been developed with the design of cloud in mind. So that is why we are getting that kind of availability and scalability. So now I will actually show you how this Lambda is working. So another thing is like everything is on the web. So let me open the AWS console and go to Lambda. So Lambda is part of compute. And I've got these samples Lambda functions. I'm going to be showing you some of them. So let me show you the simplest function, and then we'll be relating things together. So okay, so you see.
So that's on EC2, you said?
No, because whatever we are doing is without EC2. So
it's on S3, huh?
S3. S3. So Lambda is a function. So what happens is that behind the scene, Amazon has like thousands of EC2s which are running. And within those EC2, there are containers which are running. So, and they are already up. But you don't have to pay for them. You only pay when you use it. So, and the pricing they've made so attractive, like the use of Lambda is 1 million Lambda requests are free. After that, it's 20 cents per million request. But you have to be careful what request means. Request means 100 millisecond. So it's designed for short. So, and with 128 MB of RAM. If you increase the RAM, like from 128 to 256, that will be considered two invocations, not one. Similarly, if you increase the time, instead of 100 millisecond, if your request takes a second, so that it will be considered 10 requests. But still, it's quite reasonable. And the good thing is, like I've deployed this application all over the world. I'm not paying anything because no one is using it. So,
but now we will start using it.
Yeah, yeah, but they will only pay for the amount of usage that will happen. So that's a great thing. So instead of building your data center, you are using the Amazon data center. So
where is your actual data? So it's not in the database, so whatever. Where is the data itself?
So data is in S3. S3 is the storage service.
S3 is the object store. You store the objects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So data is in the S3. So I'll show you S3.
I think the key thing to note is like EC2 is your compute, right? It's your hardware, your all of it that you need to. Originally with EC2, you need to actually provision for that. And what he's saying with the serverless, what it happens is even that becomes elastic. You could have hundreds of EC2s which could be hosting your function. The function is called Lambda. So you don't need to pay for the hardware per se, but you pay for the invocation of the functions.
Right.
Okay, so
so
lambda is like a lambda function in
Exactly.
Python.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'll show you the function. So I'll show you the S3. So S3 has buckets. So my stuff is here. This is my bucket where my stuff is, and this is a secure. This is my own. I am the one who controls it. So this is. So now let me go to Lambda and show you the Lambda program. So. I showed you a picture. Oh, it's still there. I'll show you. You're looking good in that picture.
Just in a picture?
Yeah. No, you are good. But we'll take another picture because we missed you. So we'll get it one more. Okay. So Lambda is part of compute. So I'll show you an example. It will become clear. So what I said is that let me refresh it. When I click this button, this message is coming back from Lambda. So I'm going to change the Lambda. So I'm going to change my program. So I go to this is my Lambda. It is connected with the API gateway. So I will explain that API gateway as well. So this is the text that is coming in. So I'm going to put something else. Let's say I'm going to say today's date, 3/17/2018. Save.
Calling it from Python?
Yes. So this is Python, and this response is being returned. So this is the HTML, JavaScript. This is the header and this is the body. So, hello. So let me do a refresh. You see, I made a change here and it got reflected here. So basically, what's happening is that S3 by itself is a static.
It's a container or something.
Yeah, so it's a static code. So yeah, I have to show you a picture. Right?
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So this is the first meetup. The picture from the first meetup. So what I did is, like, I created a website with the static things, but now we're going to make it dynamic with Lambda, which is the compute. So when we click here, the button, the Lambda is called behind the scene. So if you change something in the Lambda, so this is a Python code, and so it's a very simple code, but basically it's in the body, this is what's returning. So this is my first example. Let me show you the API gateway as well.
So you're just serving out HTML?
Right, but it's coming through there is a Python running, so you can do anything in Python. You can do compute or anything.
Well, I have like could you take something that was on like GitHub Pages and then?
Yeah. So the examples are going to get complicated. So we're going to follow the syllabus.
Okay.
And so this is the simplest example, and then as we go forward, it's going to really get complicated. So actually, next example is going to be the complicated one.
All right.
So but this is where it's building up.
Can I ask a question on your first example?
Yeah.
So when you're hitting that button,
Yeah.
is that like going through S3
API
or
gate. So
directly
when
going
you hit the button, it goes to the API gateway.
directly it skips the S3?
No, S3 is first one. So
When you
from
hit the
DNS,
button, right?
from DNS you go to S3 because S3 is your Apache.
Right.
Okay.
It's like a web server.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Apache is your web server. Okay, but then API gateway, when you do a get or a post or any method, that is handled by the API gateway. So this is your API gateway is your access to the internet.
Got it. Okay.
So, so I'll show you.
So API gateway is just exposing REST API
Yes,
to the function.
yeah. So my API,
You call
yes,
the
right.
REST function from the JavaScript.
Right, right.
That's what it is.
So this my server Lambda is linked with the meetup cover API, and so there is a get method there. So the get method is actually linked with this Lambda. So this is how the web and the backend is getting linked. It's linking through the API gateway. And the API gateway, when you publish it, it actually gives you a URL. It gives you this URL. And this URL, you actually put it on your HTML document.
Behind the button.
Yeah. So behind the button, you are calling this.
So this API gateway is all part of AWS
Right.
ecosystem.
Right. So what we are saying in this diagram, I'm explaining you the different services we are using. So the API gateway is the one which links your HTTP request with the backend. So
Are you getting a different URL each time? If I wanted to get to your site?
right. So this is just one button. So it will only be one URL. So if you add a different button, that will have a different URL. So this is a very simple example. Now let's talk about a little complicated example. So, and I will give you a reference. 2 days ago, I went to an event and kids were playing, so I took a video and then I uploaded that video to my Facebook. So I had like many pictures. So one of the videos had a song that the kids were dancing to a song. And the Facebook, immediately at the time of loading, it told me that this song is a licensed song. So if you upload it, it's a privacy violation. So we are going to upload it muted. So what I'm trying to do is, like, I'm from the data warehousing and analytics background as well. And for traditional ETL, we used to do ETL at night. But now, you still do ETL at night, but there are many applications where you have to do ETL on the fly. And I will have some examples I'll show you. You'll have to do ETL on the fly while the things are happening. That's number one. Number two, you use this artificial intelligence on the fly. Because there is a concept of like artificial intelligence, like some people who build it, okay? So there are a few people who are data scientists, like whoever they are, who are building it. But what Amazon and Facebook and Google have done is, they have made those AI available to a common man through services. So you can embed that API, those AI as part of your application. For example, facial recognition. For example, voice translation. So my next example is for the use of, they call it machine learning or AI. I'm not developing it. Amazon has developed it. I'm just using it. So I will show you an example of sound. And again, totally serverless. So this was my website, and now I'm going to get a different page from this.
You have a comment?
Huh?
Just poly, I think.
HTML. Poly HTML. Okay. So let me just explain a little. I want to first give you a little demo of how do you do hosting. So basically, this is my website, and then I put a path in front of it, Poly HTML. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to make the Poly HTML as my home page. So I can do it very simply. So let me just show you. And that will actually also show you how S3 is working. So you go to S3. So these are my buckets on S3. So this is the PrincetonCloudSolution.com that I've made public and I'm hosting. So to make it hostable, what you just you go to properties and you go to website hosting, and you just give the name of the page that you want your primary page. So I'm going to make Poly as my primary page.
HTML.
HTML.
And that's the content is sitting on S3?
Yes, it's sitting on S3.
So if I loaded my whole website up on the S3 and just hit that button,
Yeah.
it will work?
Yeah, yes. No programming, nothing. This made life really simple. And you just, if you want a different page, you just change the name of the page. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove here. So I'm going to show you 3 examples. So this is a front end and 3 in back end. So I'll do a refresh.
It costs nothing.
Right. And the thing is, I'm not paying anything. Like, I'm paying for the clicks. And 1 million clicks are free. And after that, it's 20 cents. And then I'm paying for storage, which is very, very reasonable. So what it has done is, like, previously this kind of power was what with big guys who were sitting left and right of me. So they had these kind of resources and like to host these kind of applications. But now you and me can build websites and host it all over the world, not even paying $5. So this comes to the business model. So this is the new business model that Amazon is using. So what it does is, initially started with a web store, and web store was very good. But the thing is, they can't be selling, they want people to participate with them. So what they did is, they said, okay, if you want to sell, you can also sell. So we will host you. Now they are saying is, oh, if you want to use our technology, you can do it. So they are allowing anyone in the world to use their technology. But what they've done is they've built like these 100 data centers all over the world. To run it, you're going to use Amazon infrastructure, and you pay by second. But if there are 100 million people doing it, so they are paying big game, but that's for the benefits of us. And that is why these new companies that came in are developing new apps. So let me show you this example. So
Sorry, so
Yeah.
you're saying that the Amazon basically built this entire infrastructure for themselves initially
yeah,
to manage all this, and then
Yeah.
eventually they think, you know what,
Yeah.
this can be used by,
Yeah.
there's a business out of this.
Oh, yeah.
They made a business out of it and started saying, okay, you know, you guys can use it too,
Yeah.
everyone can use it.
yeah, we just paid him, and they make money out of that. So that's a very good business model. So this is their text-to-speech service, and there are different types of voices. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, and I'm going to explain the technology behind it. I'm going to explain you the code behind it as well. So let me write something here. Let me write something. Say something. Say some word, I'll just type it.
Abracadabra.
It's a great technology.
It is a great knowledge. I'll just say, how are you?
And you can say Nishtar is doing a great job.
No, that's fine. Okay. I think it's great.
So what if you leave it with?
Okay. Now, you can select different voice. This voice I don't like. She's fine. So what we are doing is, so there are different methods. In this one, we are actually writing it, we're creating a file. When you say it, there's programs running behind the scene. We translated this text and put it on S3, and also put the records in the DynamoDB. And then when I retrieve it,
We are using Amazon Polly and Lambda for text to speech.
so this is the one.
Let me write something. It is a great. How are you?
Okay.
What,
And-
what happens when the proper noun, how does it pronounce it? Some name?
Well,
They're just curious.
it's basically it's their AI, and they have different voices available. So like I've just changed Amy. It is the same thing.
Let me write something. It is a great. How are you?
Okay. So this, and the good thing is like we don't have to write these algorithms to do this conversion. That's already there. We just have to use it. So now to run something, there has to be a code behind it. So there is code behind it, and I will show you that code. So basically, this is running Lambda functions. So let me show you the Lambda functions. So okay, so let me explain. So instead of creating your own server, what Lambda does is provide you a screen where you write your code, and it gives you 5 environments, which is 5 languages that you can use. These are the languages. You can use C#, Java, Node.js, or Python.
And go.
They recently
Go,
added
yeah.
Go, like 2 weeks ago, like maybe less than a month ago, they added Go. So these are 5 languages. So, so you can use any language that you are more familiar with. But what it means is that all the libraries that are needed by those languages are included as part of the image that they load. So you don't have to load those libraries; it's already there.
Is there a preferred one that you should be using?
Well, Python is more popular because it's easier.
Yeah.
It's easier, and there's a lot of help available. And then anything that you can do on the screen, because when you start new on Amazon, you do things by click, click, click. But when you go to production, you cannot be doing that. Everything has to be scripted. So anything that you can do through the screen can be done through APIs. And there are API libraries for each language. And for the Python, the library is called Boto3. So all you have to do is you have to do an import Boto3. And-
Yeah.
Yeah.
3?
2 minutes left on the tape.
Okay. So can you just stop it when it's, it will stop itself. Okay. And then this is, you declare this variable, and this DynamoDB, you are linking it with your DynamoDB. And then you are either doing a scan or a query. Scan will retrieve you all the records, and query will just retrieve one record whose ID that you passed in. So this is the code that is running behind the scenes. So similarly, there is another code for post. So you see, it makes your life easier, because if you look at the traditional programming, the code was never that short because you had to do everything yourself. And let me show you the code which is actually which is doing the translation from voice to, I'll show you the code as well. Okay, now DynamoDB is another Amazon service which is amazing. So with